future. Get ready for the ride. We're going down to hell tonight, so strap yourself inside. There's a glaring contradiction in your world that's made of glass. Something small can shatter it and nail you to the past. The road beneath your wheels, the madness that you feel. Oh, you will pay with your life.
Welcome to another edition of the Metal Voice, and
Yes.
here celebrating the 30th anniversary of classic albums from 1985, we've got Dio, Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart.
Dio, I actually saw this tour, Jim. I think, as we were going through all the albums, we were talking about the transitions, variations, things that were happening. 1985 was
Yes,
not a
Alan.
particularly strong year. But on Dio's career, I think the cracks are starting to show a little bit on this album.
Yes.
I think the fact he does not have a Tony Iommi with the riffs, and he doesn't have the variations of Richie Blackmore. Vivian Campbell's a great guitar player, but I think their relationship probably deteriorated to a point where they weren't even talking on this album. And Dio coming up with the melodies like he did on every album. I mean, there's the cracks are starting to show. It's getting a little tiresome. I would call this his hair metal album. We were saying which way the bands were going. There was a transition. The hair metal was coming on stronger. Thrash was making its input. So Dio, I mean, even if you look at pictures and a recently released DVD from the time, you see Dio, who had very little hair to begin with, had a little bit of a mousse going on.
Like
it was
us.
popped up. I would have to say. I saw the tour. It was a great tour, and he was selling. He was getting
One
good
thing about that
crowds.
tour, they got so many dragons and so many props that they actually had to extend the tour to pay off the tour.
And actually,
they had so much debt on
the
that tour.
criticism from guys from Guns N' Roses and stuff years later, they were saying the show, the heavy metal bands always wanted to put on a show for their fans.
Yeah.
But they said that actually they used Dio's Sacred Heart tour as the one that really pushed things to the limit, almost Stonehenge-like
Yes.
eccentricities like we see in Spinal Tap. I mean, this is the one that everybody points to. But getting back to the album, I mean, you've got a great title track, Sacred Heart. Rock and Roll Children, which I would say would be his hair metal single from the track.
I mean, the bottom line on this album was Vivian Campbell wasn't participating as much as he did on the first.
Yeah, a lot of keyboards on this album.
I mean, it's a shame because I always liked Vivian Campbell.
Sure.
I think he was phenomenal in the first two albums. But yeah, you're right. The
King of Rock and Roll, the lead-off
I
track.
got the rock up.
King of Rock and Roll is like a poor cousin to We Rock off of The Last in Line. Hungry for Heaven, which was their single, and how they did not get sued. As to this day, the riff of Baba O'Reilly from The Who, and you put on Hungry for Heaven, the opening riff, it's right there. I don't know how they never got sued. I guess the Who's version was a little bit more on the piano side, and the Dio version a little bit more on the guitar side.
The song Sacred Heart, I think it's probably one of the best on the album. I just love it. I don't know what it is about that song. I just love listening to it.
Then you got some tracks that are a little bit like filler, like Shoot Shoot. It's a fun track to listen to, but it's filler. And you see some of the other songs on here.
It's a beautiful album cover, by the way.
Just Another Day. Fallen Angels could have been on Last in Line, like The Beat of a Heart, but Another Lie. It's just not as strong as album as the other ones. And then if you look to see what followed, you got Dream Evil with Craig Goldie, so Vivian's no longer gone. Besides All the Fool Sails Away and a couple of the videos that made that go along, it was not a particularly strong album, and it was really the start of the end of this album was the start of the downside, I would say, for Dio. The cracks are starting to show. It's not as strong as album overall, but still stronger than some of the albums that came afterwards. So check it out, Sacred Heart, Dio, 30 years ago.
Has it been 30 years, Alan? Has it been 30 years?
The last one with Vivian Campbell. Check it out. Enjoy.